Yes, I know that was a very short break, so welcome back, audience. And I extend a warm welcome to our panelists for this session, Ms. Erika Krizan, Dr. Tunde Salako, Mr. Patrick Kellihan, Ms. Shefali Sonpur, Ms. Teresa Blissing, and Dr. Hugo Fernandez for this panel discussion on insurance in the digital age. Dr. Hugo will be the moderator for this panel. He's an international claims operations leader delivering value with innovative and strategic projects for the US, UK, and the EU region. Dr. Hugo works at the intersection of technology and business needs, where his vast knowledge in insurance operations enables him to work on complex issues with the customer and his needs in mind. Dr. Hugo holds a PhD with health insurance as a research field. So with that, I hand over the floor to you. Over to you, Dr. Hugo.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, Insurance in the Digital Age. My name is Hugo. I'll be your moderator for today. We have a very interesting session ahead of us, and we are being joined by some of the most important thought leaders in the insurance space. So this will be exciting for us. We're really keen to get into the space and to the discussion. But before that, I'll ask our panel to introduce themselves, because much better than I reading them would be for them to share some of their experience. So I'll start by Erika. Erika, can you do a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. My name is Erika Krizan. I am living in Austria. I'm sitting in Vienna, and I have the company, the Insurance Factory, and we're supporting and motivating the insurance manager to learn innovation management. We learned how can you use the technology to create new business model, new service models. So this is a very important part. And other part, I'm organizing the Insurance Innovation Day every year in Vienna. And we are collecting the most important innovation topic for the insurance industry.
Thank you, Erika. Shefali, can we hear a little bit from you?
Hello, everybody. My name is Shefali Sonpur. I am based in Bangalore, India. I have been part of the industry for over 20 years, an underwriter at heart, but very passionate about digital transformation. I've been part of significant digital transformation programs across the globe. Honored to be part of this panel and looking forward to this discussion.
Thank you, Shefali. Teresa?
Thank you, Hugo. Today coming to you from Frankfurt, Germany, but here today to talk about innovation happening in the insurance industry in Asia. I have started together with famous podcast host Michael Waits, the Asia InsurTech podcast. In May 2019, we give a platform to talk about how technology is reshaping the insurance industry in Asia. One of the reasons I started this podcast and built this community of InsurTech entrepreneurs and thought leaders is because Asia needs its own solutions. We cannot take a concept that works in a mature, saturated market, like in Europe or the US, and build it in developing countries in Asia. So that is really what we are trying to do to take into account the ecosystem in the different countries across Asia and see what solutions are used here to build the future of insurance.
Thank you, Teresa. Patrick?
Well, it's morning here near Niagara Falls, New York. Good day to all of you, or good evening. I have a day job that involves working with engineers and architects, but I interact with insurance. But my true passion is, after a couple of decades in insurance, is seeing how innovation is growing and then keeping a global perspective and keeping an eye on it. Publishing, I was on the Daily FinTech, but I am a customer service advocate. So how is innovation tying in with what customers need? And sometimes that is lost, and that's the piece I'll try to keep in our discussion. And I'm really happy to be speaking with all of you today. And Hugo, you're doing a wonderful job as facilitator.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's see. We already have Tund. Tund, welcome to the session. Can you hear us? Yes. Probably not
Hello.
yet.
Hi there.
Hey, Tund, how are you?
Hi.
Hi. So just appeared in the right time. Can you just do a brief introduction of yourself to our audience before we jump into our first topic?
Okay. So it's a pleasure to be here. Delighted to have a wonderful co-panelists, and I'm so happy about this particular session because I think it delves into the future of what's happening in digital and insurance, particularly. So my name is Tunde. Foundationally, a medical doctor, but I've been on the insurance side of the fence for 16 years now, and I like to describe myself as having found my ikigai in connecting the dots between insurance, penetration, and technology. And because of that, I like to also say that I wear two hats because while trying to promote what's going on within the insurtech space in Africa, I also run an insurtech startup. So I think a combination of my experiences will be worthwhile in discussing with my able panelists today. So thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much. So it is time to go for our first discussion topics. But before that, remember, this is a dynamic session. We want to hear your questions and your comments. It's very welcome. So please use the chat option on your right side to make your questions. I'll go through it. We'll answer your questions because we want to hear also your voice during this whole session. So in the last couple of years, we've been seeing a lot of changes in the insurance industry, especially moving from the analog to the digital, and that's the topic of today's session. In very recent white papers, we have been all of us discussing the same. When and how will the giants of tech enter the insurance industry? This year of 2020 has been the year of healthcare, but also an important year in this sector. What we've seen was, for example, in the US, the US big retailer called Walmart entering the health insurance sector. We have seen Amazon joining in India and starting the auto insurance business. And well, we could be talking a lot about Tesla and how Tesla decided to say the market is not offering the right product for us, so we're going to sell our own auto insurance for our electric cars. So let's talk about these. What are the dynamics that these can bring to the industry? Patrick, I will start by you as our US representative. How do you see these challenges and opportunities having these giants entering the market? And especially in the case of the US, how do you saw Walmart stepping in this health insurance industry?
Well, certainly the large tech companies, the MAGAs and Walmart, and even the retail drugstores, they have a tremendous advantage with digital access to information. But I'd like everyone to remember that those companies are accustomed to terminal transactions. You know, they have great information, they can do search engine optimization, but they sell something and then the transaction completes. So as, for example, Walmart gets into the insurance technology world, their start is in the prescription medicine where there's a single transaction. So I see the breadth of their digital information gives them an advantage for setting up large-scale operations in technology. But how are they dealing with that analog piece that the customer needs of personal attention? Because each transaction ties in with someone individually. Even a same prescription from one person to the next is the same. So how do they bridge that? That's the important piece. My favorite hashtag is innovation from the customer backwards. How does that elderly Medicare person in the US do it? How do we address the lack of OPD cover in India through technology? It's a big change of not only technology, but of thinking. All right, so we have to be careful not to say, oh, Google is a great technology platform, or Ping An is a great ecosystem. How is it built? Is it built from what the customer needs up? And in China, that's what they did. It was organic. But technology is not the end all. It's got to be the facilitation of analog service. So looking at successes, Walmart has had success, but it's been primarily in prescription drugs. Amazon or Google getting into the system, how do they handle claims? Certainly AI will assist with that, but it's you need to bridge past the terminal transaction to healthcare, which is a longitudinal care. How do we do that? How do we build not only confidence, privacy, dovetailing with government programs? It's a big challenge, and I see great inroads, but technology is not the panacea, not the only solution. It's got to come from how all those parts fit together. How does a customer perceive signing up for, well, let me put it this way. If you ever sign up for health insurance in the United States, wonderful amount of healthcare you can get, but getting insurance and all of the varieties that are there is the most stressful part of healthcare for many people in the US. Has technology solved that? Only from the standpoint of how companies are going to administer it afterwards.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Patrick. And keeping up the momentum and talking about health, I'll ask our health innovator Tune to talk about this. What dynamics can this bring to the health insurance world, and from your experience, and also the African market as a whole?
Well, that's a very interesting perspective, Hugo. I mean, like Patrick first of all said, it's the question is asking what kind of what were the end user specifics, for creating this renowned solutions that we now have existent in the different parts of the world, right? What were the peculiarities of the environment? Because one of the key things that we need to also, first of all, always factor in is the fact that the environment plays a very critical role as to what is being created. Now, coming to our own side of the fence, we're seeing a lot of things happen dynamically, particularly in the past 2 to 3 years, very accurately because of multi reasons. Major reasons being one, the internet penetration has increased significantly, and then secondly, also the adoption of mobile is very far and large. I mean, like in West Africa alone, it's significant, it's huge, right? And we're having numbers. And then again, the third factor, by the way, is our population. The population is pretty huge. And there's an article that talks about in the next, by the year 2050, we're going to have a larger population, particularly within the millennial and then the Gen Z generations, like workforce and the work population. So what has happened is these factors are placing us in a very unique position because right now we're able to leverage on this changes and these events to also now accelerate a lot of things that are happening in our environment, looking at the different digital trends in insurance that are happening, particularly in the area of data analytics, big data, and then artificial intelligence. IoT is something that is really coming up really, really strong, particularly within the health space, because now what we're going to see is we're seeing a lot of connections within the ecosystem. And with the advent of what we like to describe as the Internet of Medical Things, the medical area is also now latching on to. So, like, for instance, you buy a car, you have a tracker that tells you, monitors through telematics, what is the kind of behavioral patterns that the car user or the driver has exhibited. It's the same thing happening for health now. So we're in the phase where these technologies are available on our continent because there's also a closure in the skill gaps as regards how it can readily be deployed because of the increase in internet penetration. So we're going to continue to see a lot of adoption, a lot of trends that are shifting us closer to what is happening within the mature systems in the different parts of the world. And I dare say that we'll be catching up pretty soon on all these areas, more than ever because of these dynamics that have shifted and changed. I'll stop there for now. I think we still have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, great. Thank you for your comments. Teresa, you have been following these dynamics very closely, and some of them have been covered on the podcast. What we can expect between the relationship between incumbents, insurtechs, and these tech giants, because they're now entering the market and going to have these three different types of players working together.
Yeah, good question, Hugo. I want to add a little bit to what Patrick has been saying with Amazon entering the insurance space. I believe it all started in China with the popular messenger app and super app WeChat, starting in the insurance space, even launching their own insurtech startup, Resure, where they are now selling insurance products via the WeChat platform. And if you're just looking at the numbers, they are mind-boggling. So WeChat has around 900 million monthly active users, and they were able to convert about 33 million to insurance clients. That is close to 4% conversion here. And I think these are excellent numbers, especially if you're considering that, there's always this conversation that insurance is, only sold and not really bought. But here, WeChat has really found a way to leverage on their active user base in order to sell insurance products. Amazon now in India has started offering insurance products on their platform in partnership with Echo, one of the new insurers in India. Amazon is actually also an early investor into Echo. And I think 2018, they have invested 12 million into this startup and are now offering motor insurance products via the Amazon platform in India. And they are also tying it with the Amazon Prime membership. So if you are an Amazon Prime member, you automatically get a discount on your insurance product, right? I'm not sure if Amazon will ever be the underwriting party. So if they are going away of becoming a fully licensed insurance company, something that Tesla has actually announced, or if they stick to the strategy of partnering with innovative companies that are able to plug in digital insurance solution into the Amazon ecosystem, and Amazon basically works on a commission basis. And if we are looking at the WeChat example, I believe Amazon has about 10 million users in India, and if they also manage to get a 3%-4% conversion rate, that is a significant business. Plus, in addition, you have to consider that there are very minimal costs for Amazon on doing that, right? You might have the opportunity costs of advertising that could otherwise be sold to other partners, but that's basically it, right? They already have the user base, they have a partner for the underwriting, and then have the opportunity to get the additional commission. We haven't seen so many insurance incumbents getting into this big ecosystem tech play. But another company I find quite interesting in Asia is Pacific Century Group from Hong Kong. They are the parent company of former PCCW, now Hong Kong Telecom. A few years back, they have already started their own insurance brand, FWD, where they are quite aggressive across Southeast Asia in tapping into the markets. And earlier this year, they have launched another insurtech company called Boltech, where they are targeting ecosystems, where they are building ecosystems, and are here partnering with telco companies, also with e-wallets. In Thailand, for example, they are working with Line Rabbit Pay, so the popular messenger app Line, and their e-wallet service Rabbit Pay, to offer insurance products. In Korea, they have partnered with LG Telecom in order to offer insurance products and cell phone insurance to the customers of LG. And that is really something we are seeing, where these big tech companies are leveraging on their user base, on their ecosystems, to then offer insurance and build another revenue stream here.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for sharing your view and some of those examples from Southeast Asia. Shefali, I would come to you. One of the things that we probably have in common, besides the user base that Teresa mentioned, between Amazon and Walmart is the distribution channel. One digital, the other was digital, was non-digital. How do you believe that can play the role to accelerate and to foster the distribution of these innovative products?
So I would, I think it's been very well covered already by the earlier panelists. But what I would definitely say is, till now, if you look at all the tech giants, a lot of them were using their technology algorithm power that they had with churning data, pulling out intelligence out of data to cross sell and capitalize on that strength to reach the market. So Lisa mentioned that Amazon is tied up in India with ACO. They've even taken a small partnership of share, but a lot of them really are not looking at taking up the underwriting part of this. So see, the core insurance business is not something they're looking at. They are looking initially to leverage their existing customer base, their brand value, to exploit and expand the customer base. So distribution arm, as we call it, as a broker or a corporate broker, is something which most companies have taken their path on. Now, there are two ways in which insurance companies can expand their revenue. One is they sell different products to the same set of customers. So there's Shefali Sonpar, she's already bought a product. Now you have another product, you sell her as a top-up, or another product, or very often as an embedded product, so she doesn't even know that you bought it. So when you buy an LG TV, for example, or a washing machine, she doesn't even realize she's buying a insurance. So that's one way of increasing your net sales. The other way to look at the increasing your net sale is really expanding your net to the traditionally uninsured. And I'd be very interested to see how they use their digital and data powers to exploit that market, because that is the true value of using technology. The difference and the power that technology companies, the Amazons, the Googles bring in, is they've changing the level playing field for insurance from being an operations company, a new business, underwriting, policy servicing, claims company, to a data-driven operations company. And that, for me, will be the pressure point which will, I think, accelerate insurance industry. Even though Amazon is acting as a distributor, its expectation from the brand promise is instant issue, higher speed underwriting, deeper accuracy. And that is something traditional insurers were not comfortable with. And this is where I believe the value and the pressure points, like I said earlier, will come. The companies that are able to deliver on that with or without the partnership with the giants are the ones that will come out as winners.
Great, thank you, Shefali. So for some of the topics, it is good. Some of the topics you mentioned, I'm going to speak in more detail later during our session. Erica, from an innovation side, and you've been working a lot on the innovation and insurance, we could expect from these moves in the future?
Yeah. Difficult market is Europe in case of technology, or leverage the technology like the companies of GAFA. So we are calling Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple like GAFA companies. And, they know how can you interact with the clients, and they know the needs in a base of a data driving model. And currently, the insurance companies, the most traditional insurance companies, coming with a very old legacy system, is currently not really able to develop this dynamic like tech giants, so the GAFA companies. They know what the client needs. They have a lot of experience in case of data. And the question is, how can we use the technology in a environment like Europe, for example, with very strong regulation in case of data protection and so on. This is the question, how can we learn from these companies? And, it's we don't have this quality like in US, these companies, because we have some challenging in this case. But we are learning that, the insurance companies has data. It's the technology is existing, but it's not high quality. And how can we develop a service a customer needs in case of or helping or using the technology? And this is the paradox. The insurance companies has a lot of data, structured data, unstructured data, but they don't know it. How can we use it? And the tech companies, I think if Amazon and Google and so want to enter this market, and it is some steps already did, they know that what the customer needs, and they have the technology and they can use the data. It is very easy if I have an Amazon Prime account and give insurance as add-on. It just doesn't matter. It's just like a micro insurance with a very small premium. But if I selling, for example, from the e-commerce side in a product, and to give to this one, like Alibaba in with Ting On, it is very easy to very small premium to give and use the technology and satisfy the customer. I think this competitive advantage should we use. We should learn from the tech giant and use it with all traditional insurance industry. But we are learning it. We have some very different regulation in this case, but I think some paper work free and claims automatization. We have some part of process from the value chain, but it's currently not so for the whole customer satisfaction. And this is, I think, what we have to learn, to use the data, to use the technology to develop a service model, because the data is the new world, we know it. Mm-hmm. And the question is, how can we use this data and to be convenience for the clients, and this is the most important things, to use this chance.
Thank you, Eric. You raised very interesting point, especially when we go to talk about GDPR and also data protection, on what can we do and can't we do as an insurer to help our clients or to do more for the market. And thank you all for this first participation, this first topic. And now moving on for our second part of our discussion. 2020 has not been only the year of the pandemic, but for more important and for a positive side, it also has been the year where we saw our 5G network expanding in a lot of countries, and a lot of countries launching that mobile network, which we're going to connect us all. 5G is much more than a high-speed internet. It will be a technology that will allow us to connect different wearables, different technologies, or homes, making smart homes, and so on. And insurance through IoT and others will be impacted by 5G, and we can expect that. But before starting our discussion, we would like to hear your opinion. So we're going to open a poll to hear what you have to say about IoT and the importance of IoT in the insurance. Somewhere here on the below, you're going to have a button where you can vote on our poll. I will just ask our support team to launch the poll. So while we're going to discuss the Internet of Things and the impact of the Internet of Things opportunity in insurance. Tund, I'll start by you because you already talked with us some of the IoT impact, especially in the healthcare. How do you see those opportunities, and how do you see those 5G and especially, for example, talking about the mobile penetration in Africa, can foster that opportunity for insurers?
Okay, thanks, Ogo. I think that's a very intriguing question, and I say that because of the controversies that surround 5G at the moment. Now, at the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot going on, particularly with 5G, right? And there are a lot of theories, which were released about how the advent of 5G was cutting, was being used to accentuate the virus and all sorts of funny things. So it just goes without saying that, from all those conspiracy theories and everything that everyone was putting together, the power and the capabilities of 5G being deployed are enormous, right? I also I'd like to backtrack to looking at where's the money being, how do we follow the money in all of this, right? If we look at a global pedestrian, um, there are major areas where and trends that are evolving where investments and funding are being actually channeled at the moment, and IoT and 5G happen to be one of them, right? There's a very fascinating report by the Alchemy crew that talks about the funds that have been raised, particularly within these areas. And the interesting part for me, for what I saw on that report was, I think IoT was the second, having gotten a global total of about 82 billion US dollars. And then 5G is also coming up, so having gotten investments in ventures of up to about $6 billion. So what that means is that evidently these trends are going to create transformational impacts, not only in Africa, but the rest of the world. And with that said, it means that we transitioning into these trends, whether you are an insurtech or an incumbent or a traditional company, it's understanding the capacities that this technology have to actually be transformational, particularly at the end user's point of view. Now, in Africa, we're latching on to a lot of things, like I rightly said when we started this conversation, and that's because there's a closure in skills gap. Closure in the sense that we now have pretty much over about 600 technology hubs in the whole of Africa, and these hubs are specific and deliberate in training and empowering and passing on information and enlightening the African population that is growing up, particularly the youth generation, Generation Y, X, Z, etc., and the Alpha generation that is upcoming. The specific hubs and organizations that have set out on missions to train at least millions of people by the time they get to college, or they just finish their university degrees and they actually are out there for jobs. So what we're going to see is we're going to have a lot of experts holistically focusing on this trends. Now, bringing it to insurance, one of the opportunities that I see on our side of the fence is the fact that because of the population that we have, applying these trends onto our insurance existing platforms already is just going to help us to leapfrog into deepening penetration and also getting more inclusivity, because we account for about 25% of the people on the continent in the world, having about 1.2 billion people, and with 1.2 billion people, our penetration is still pretty low and on the whole continent for various reasons. One of the major reasons being the social cultural acceptance of insurance. But what I see this trend doing is fast tracking and facilitating these gaps that we currently have here, and I think it's a very bright future for us, because not only are Africans beginning to look at these opportunities, we're having everyone from the world looking into to see what the possibilities are. And we're beginning to see, despite various challenges and issues, we're beginning to see a lot of inflows. And that's why I said let's look at where the money is coming from. We're seeing a lot of inflows as investments, particularly even in the insurtech space. 3 years ago, there was barely no statistics as regards what was happening in the insurance technology space in Africa. And as of this year, with the global investments and funding that has been going on, we're seeing it rise to a level of about 4% which is on the same pedestal with Latin America and Australia and the Oceanians. So in summary, I think these technologies will help us to drive a lot of acceleration. It will help us to leapfrog into what we want to see existing. And because we have advantages of a, should I say, evolving legacy connectivity system, we don't have very tight regulated policies in place like you have in Europe and other areas. There's a lot of potential to actually scale, to enormous levels. And I dare say that we're going to be seeing very interesting use cases coming up from our own side of the fence that can also be used to, work as models in mature worlds. For example, the M-Pesa model holding in Kenya is a very critical example that is also being studied in different parts of not only Africa, but on a global pedestal. So, yeah, I will stop there for now.
Thank you, Chin. Thank you so much. So I would jump to Erica. Erica, what do you see from the smart cities to the autonomous cars? Or do you see there's a big opportunity for us as insurers?
Yeah, I think IoT is one of the most important future technology. Why is this important for the insurance? 2025, it will be estimated that more than 50 billion connected devices on the world. And for example, 89% of the new car, it will be connected. And for it, it's necessary, of course, a stable infrastructure. And we, as insurance industry, we are in the every life cycle participate. It means in the life, if we are connected with our wearable, we are connected with our car, we are connected with our property, like a smart home. And I think the most interesting industry for the future, because in every part of this life cycle, insurance should include. And, it's, for example, the telematic, it's used in Europe, it's high developed countries, for example, Italy, because this is not only the technology, because it's technology one things, because it's not about things, it's about service. And in Italy, we are using a very good communication strategy in case of service. Why should we use telematic? What is the advantage if I have a accident? How can I have immediately to call the emergency? And from other side, other countries, unfortunately, it's against. For example, in German-speaking countries, it's very difficult to use it because, for example, the media, it's against. Because we have a very strong regulation, GDPR, as you mentioned, it's a very strong effect, and the mindset of the people don't use it like the service. It's only the risk what's behind it. And from other side, for example, we have a very good use case in case of life. It's with the Generali group. It was developed in South Africa with the Discovery Insurance, the technology in case of vitality. How can you use the technology with variable to use or motivate the clients to use sport and to get, for example, the insurance a little bit cheaper? And they are developing a really good ecosystem. But currently, it's the mindset of the people in Europe. It's not really in this way, because as I mentioned, it's a lot of risk, and we have some cyber attack and something that it's not stable, and more coming from the disadvantage as the advantage part of. But from the prevention side, I know a lot of great company in Europe, for example, Grue. They are developing water damage hardware that you can check with your app, for example, if you have a water damage or whatever. One side is the prevention point of view, that we have the chance to develop with this technology a lot of service. And from other side, the personalization, because if you are using the technology, you have your personal app, you can check your house, you can check your health, you can check your car, it's everything possible. And but this is the question, how can we use like data to give a service for client? And this is the most challenging point of view from the insurance, to develop a great service, and who is able to pay for it, because one part is of course to reduce the risk. This is a good opportunity for insurance companies, because if you reduce the claims or the damage, you have the possibility to get more profit. And in this case, from the client point of view, you can have, through convenience, I think, more satisfaction. Yeah, I think this is the most important, to learn how can we use the technology to develop a business model.
Great, thank you very much. Teresa, can we get your view on the IoT and all this opportunity?
Yeah, I want to add what Erica has been saying. I think IoT is around for a number of years now, and at the beginning it seemed like really promising in the insurance space, like when first telematic solutions came up. But I think the reality is that we haven't seen the adoption that we would have expected, right? Erica mentioned telematics working quite well in Italy, but in a lot of countries, the adoption is quite low. Thailand was one of the first countries in Asia to publish or to launch a telematics solution with Bangkok Insurance. And they haven't been really successful. Same actually for Vitality, which is used with Generali in parts of Europe. In Asia, it's AIA who have adopted Vitality, and in most Asian countries, actually the engagement is not what they have expected. In other countries, as far as I understand, Australia is a bit more successful with this health and wellness product, but in most parts of Asia, they haven't seen the impact that they were hoping for. I believe there are several reasons why these IoT products, or also on-demand products, have difficulties at the moment to get the acceptance. I believe one is that people are cautious about sharing their data, about being monitored. That is definitely one part. And I think the other part is also some of these solutions are not very convenient. Like, you have to be active on sharing your data. A lot of telematic solutions where you have a switch to switch on, switch off when you are on the way. In the US, I think Trove and Slice have been one of the first ones with like these on-demand powered by IoT data. But again, you have to actively switch it on and off. And maybe Patrick can comment on that a bit later. I think 5G and that, we are becoming more and more connected will change this eventually. And also that the solutions become smarter. To give you an example, there's a promising new insurtech coming out of Hong Kong called Yas Insurtech, and they have launched a product for lifestyle, for people who go hiking, for people who go golfing, and they have launched an insurance that covers them when they are hiking. And the way they operate, they have a geo mapping, and if you are on the hiking trail, it will pick it up and it will automatically turn on your coverage. Same for if the GPS picks up that you're on the golf course, it will automatically turn on the insurance for while you're playing golf. And I think this is the type of IoT solutions we need, that they are embedded, that they are integrated into everyday lives. We are seeing similar things with all the ride-hailing services now, where they are using telematics a bit more efficient because it's part of the ride-hailing app. so they have additional coverage when being with a customer on like a commercial drive compared to a private drive. So that would my take on IoT.
Great, thank you so much, Teresa. Shefali, I would ask one thing that both Teresa and Erica just mentioned, which is the mindset, because it's not just the insurer to the market, it's also the market being willing to take on the IoT. How can we, as an industry players, play that role and also make our customers comfortable with those technologies and adopting those technologies?
I think it's a very interesting point you raised, because, we are not an isolated industry. Unlike a manufacturing company that manufactures toothpaste, it's a part of our life, but not the whole life. Insurance actually impacts the whole ecosystem. So for example, how the car manufacturing industry evolves and adopts technologies like embedded GPS. Now, most cars have GPS embedded in their own IoT devices. Those kind of ecosystem changes are something insurers also benefit from, and vice versa. So we are one very unique kind of industry, I feel. We actually are symbiotic to the growth of the larger ecosystem. So if a car now has an alert system where automatically the airbags open when it pops open on impact, that is a technology evolution the car industry is doing for their safety. But it is very closely linked to our service, which is initiation of a claim, an FNOL. Now, if these two can be integrated and linked, the possibility of experience changes. And I can talk about multiple examples where we can, and as 5G evolves, we will see more and more companies and individual adopting technology for these things. It'll become a natural route. Like Teresa mentioned, right? We keep our GPS open because we want Google Maps to advise us, or whichever maps tool you want, advise us the best route possible, which also means we now know where the person is going. And if there are unique products, we can come up with an at point of location to say, if you are at like she very rightly said, at a golf course, can it trigger a possibility to a person saying, oh, you seem to be going to the golf course once a week. Would you like a golf, accident cover, accidental insurance for that risk? So I think it's a very symbiotic relationship between ecosystem, industry evolution, and technology. Let's take some more examples here. If you look at, for example, one of the biggest things 5G talks about is the fact we'll have smart cities and smart buildings. What does that really mean? It really means that if suppose I'm living in a building, which is a smart building, it has the ability to intuitively advise or detect a pipe burst in the building, or the heater burst in a building, or the potential of the heater crossing a certain degree, which increases the probability of the heater bursting. Now, this is risk management at its essence, right? And if we can plug into that anyway evolving ecosystem of smart homes, and use that as a guided tool to improve our risk management, our scope of service moves from just protection to prevention. Can we move in that guided evolution? Manufacturing. With drones, we have now the ability to enter and see how the manufacturing floor is working. Can we detect in advance the probability of a risk happening or a quality falling because of for some reason during the manufacturing? Automatically, that will have a downstream impact on our claims. So a lot of the bottom line is 5G is going to expand the possibility of application of technology, and as an industry, we need to jump on that bandwagon and pick it up. Stop looking at the baggage of technology, debt we have created, but really look futuristically and see how we can leverage it from a prevention point of view, because downstream that's going to impact your claims.
Great, thank you so much, Shefali. Patrick, I'll go to you with a different part of the value chain. If I was looking at the claims prevention, I'm looking for you, for example, pricing models and how IoT can help us with that, or even the expansion of parametric insurance and parametric models. Can you tell us your view on how that can play a role there?
How did that happen?
You're back now.
There we go.
Let's go.
You are on mute is probably the most popular sentence of 2020.
No question. I don't know how it happened. But so if we first start with what is the number one IoT device, it's a smart device. It's a cell phone. It's a pad. So all of those data help in what? It helps companies be more efficient, potentially. It also goes to building insurance to the underserved. In addition, it can compile from all IoT devices. If you look at everybody's cell phone as their personal ecosystem, all right, all of those data coming from all those devices can be innocuously put into their smartphone. Can you build products that are parametric as opposed to indemnity? All right, so if someone is going to Shefali's point on the airbags, when an accident happens and that goes, can there be an immediate disbursement of funds to help someone with their immediate claim needs? Of course, that's a way to go. Right now we're caught in the indemnity world, but with all of the input from IoT devices, can the release of water be sensed in your house and automatically contact a service person, a value addition, and ensure that that person is paid for through your insurance policy? Again, getting away from an indemnity only to a proactive prevention of further damage piece. All of these data can be aggregated in our best IoT device, our smart device, right? Tied in with other ecosystems. But if we get to the world of a personal ecosystem, insurance companies can take care of their bottom line. We can build trust in insurance being a value addition, which then helps build the top line through getting our products out to underserved persons. What do people want to know? They want to know that if something happens, they have some result that helps them either respond to what happened or helps reimburse them for costs. And that's the promise of all of these additional data coming through 5G, smart cities, smart buildings, and aggregating it through smart devices. Now, certainly there's cyber and privacy issues that can come up, but let's look at it from what builds trust for the customer in the innovations that are coming along. You could tell somebody, get a smart device. Get a IoT device for your pipes. Okay, that's great, but I can't pay for it and I can't maintain it. Well, let's get past that. Let's find ways to add the value, get ecosystems of vendors, get ecosystems of service persons, and the customer doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting on it. And that's what 5G and IoT, I think, is going to bring. And if we combine that with some immediate response through parametric products, AI is going to build wonderful understanding of what triggers to use and how to index them. All of these data, it can't be looked at only from a cost savings on the insurance side. How is the customer benefiting from it?
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Just sharing with you the results of our poll. So 70% of the audience has said that their insurers do not have any partnership with IoT. So there's still a big opportunity in there. So our time is running up. Thank you, everyone. So since the first insurance contracts that were designed in the medieval times, we have seen a huge change in how our products are designed, distributed, negotiated. And as in other industries, in the last 10 years, we've seen more change than in the 700 years before. One thing we all agree that we'll see in the next 2 to 3, 5 years, much more than we've seen in these last 10. So thank you very much. Stay tuned because we're going to keep working on this digital and exciting industry as insurance. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hugo. I'm sorry I have to turn off my video because there's a power cut at my end. So on behalf of GCPIT, I take this opportunity to thank Ms. Erica Krizan, Dr. Tunde, Mr. Patrick, Ms. Shafali, Ms. Teresa, and Dr. Hugo for this great session and the great moderation by Dr. Hugo. Thank you so much. And sorry we had to cut short a bit. And we hope to have you all again in a future session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Our great pleasure. Thank
Great
you.
seeing all of
Cheers,
you
everyone.
again.
Yes. So, audience, with that, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back with a great lineup of innovative startup stories. So, do stay with us.